Hello everyone, welcome. This is Voices, and I'm your host Eric D. Clark, and it's a real delight to have you to join us this week. We trust that you will enjoy the program, which comes to you from your family at the Atlantic Caribbean Union of Seventh-day Adventists, covering the beautiful islands of the Cayman, Turks and Caicos, and of course, the Bahamas. In studio with me is the Executive Secretary of the Atlantic Caribbean Union, Pastor Peter Kerr. I call him my big brother, and we welcome him to the program today.
Thank you, Brother Clark. It's good to be your big brother. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much, sir. How are you doing, Pastor Kerr?
It's good. God has been good. We have a lot to thank the Lord for, and I'm glad you asked, because we have to praise God for every new day.
Mm-hmm. And your family?
Family is great. Okay. My Jennifer is not too far away.
All right, sir. Thank you, and we appreciate that. Just recently, you traveled. In fact, you guys do a lot of traveling sometimes.
Too much.
How was it? Where did you just come from?
This one was good. This was one of the better ones. Because even though it was a working one, it was the kind of work that I like most. It was all about evangelism. We went to be a part of a team from 24 unions across our division that converged on the Interoceanic Union in Mexico.
Okay.
This was the celebration of New Believers Day and the Lord Transform Me Reaping campaigns. As you know, we do this once per year when all the unions of the division converge on a particular union and help in 8 to 10 days of reaping campaigns. Okay. And apart from that, as a part of the program, we also have some training that takes place in the union where this celebration is being held.
Excellent.
So we were happy to have been there. We had quite a good delegation from here, led by our president, of course, Dr. Johnson. He was at the main site where the celebration was taking place, because this was carried live by Hope Channel, 3ABN, and Dr. Johnson was there in the city of Minatitlan, in the state of Veracruz in Mexico. I was in a different location. I was in the state of Guerrero, and we were in a nice little city in a valley. Very hot, but very beautiful city, and we had some wonderful times. There were 7 from our union that participated. I think we had one of the largest delegations of preachers. So we have, from South Bahamas, we had the president with us. And he conducted a series of meetings himself. We had a young, energetic, evangelistic dynamo in Pastor Jamal Franklin.
Okay.
He had very successful meetings where he was way up on the hilltop conducting a series of meetings. And also from North Bahamas, we had Pastor Desmond Stirrup.
Yes.
Another very gifted, talented young man that did very well in his part of the field where he was. He was far away from the rest of us. I think he was also in the state of Veracruz.
Okay.
Pastor Cephas Dixon from the Cayman Islands was also there, and he was also in Veracruz. And so we had them. And then from the Turks and Caicos Islands, we had young, energetic, very gifted evangelist Steve Cornwall.
Yes.
And he had very successful meetings where he was. In fact, Steve Cornwall also spoke on this at one of the sites, the downlink sites in the union. Apart from the main site, there were 4 other sites. And Steve Cornwall was one of the speakers that Sabbath service, and did a tremendous job.
Help us to understand a little more about what you all did. Were there any special challenges that you would be able to identify?
Oh, well, One of the reasons we attend these meetings is because we want to see what the challenges are in other parts of the world. So we are not afraid of the challenges. We really want to learn from other unions, the way they do their evangelism, the way they make their success. And so we saw some of how it's done. But we also wanted to know the circumstances and difficult situations under which they work. And we saw some of that. Pastor Johnson, he conducted his meetings in our church. So his meetings was held in the open park. Yeah. President of the Jamaica Union, his meetings was held in a field. 400 people gathered in that field, open field, to hear him preach. And Dr. Johnson had very good attendance where he was also. Of course, he had to compete with things like weddings in the park and that kind of thing. So they missed their first night of the meetings because there was a big wedding in the park. But from there on, he picked up and the meetings went very well. The start of my meeting was very, very difficult for me. And very emotional for me, because the family that fed me breakfast that very morning, by the evening when we were to begin our meetings, the news broke that the husband, who was is an elder of the church, was actually kidnapped. And that shook the church in a terrible manner, and we had to take it to the Lord in prayer. Immediately as the news broke, I alerted you, my colleagues, on our WhatsApp chat line, and I was very pleased. It was very comforting for me to see how quickly each person responded with affirmation that, look, we are praying. We are all praying for this to have a good ending. And sure enough, late the evening, while the pastor and others were praying in the home of this family, the telephone rang, and it was a young elder of the church calling from another distant city where he was actually dropped off by his kidnappers. So we shed some tears, first of sorrow and then of joy.
That's right.
But we mingled our prayers with those of the people there. We mingled our tears with them, and we got to know them better and appreciate the difficult circumstances. Because I'm told that this city is where a lot of that happens. You know? In fact, Clark, the news came out not too long ago, I think about 2 years ago, where 43 students were kidnapped from a school, and that happened to be the very city where it happened. So I found myself in a place where the brethren know that the regular kind of crime is kidnapping. But the gospel went well. I mean, it's amazing to see the places I was able to visit with the folks in their homes and their communities. They're very protective of me, of course. But they fed me well. I hope you could see some signs of it.
Yes, yes. In fact, folk don't even realize that you are very fluid as far as Spanish is concerned, along with your union president.
Yes, but I'm not. Give me the next question.
In the experiences that you and your team had, I'm told that there was a baptism of an aged person. Can you share some light on that?
Well, that's a wonderful story. Pastor Steve Cornwell worked in the same state where I worked. But he was at one of the larger churches. In fact, he was at like the main conference church. And he had a very good attendance there. Among the people he baptized, I think out of that crusade, he baptized over 30 individuals. And one of them was a 102-year-old lady. Wow. She was just as strong as a 60-year-old. Wow. And a beautiful lady. He went to her home and had a study with her, and she was ready for baptism, and he had her signed up, and he led her himself into the waters of baptism, and then took some beautiful pictures with her after the baptism itself. It was a wonderful moment of celebration to think that someone who has been of another faith all her life finally discovered the truth as it is in Christ Jesus, and celebrated the moment when she embraced Christ and all of his teachings and became a part of God's remnant church.
At age
102.
What a blessing.
What a blessing indeed.
What a blessing.
Wonderful thing.
The meetings also involved some training for you all as a team, didn't it?
Yes. We were having on the Monday after we began a special meeting of training. In fact, it was a conference, a soul retention conference, conservation conference. And we had some very wonderful speakers. Pastors were able to join in from all across the division territory. I was able to view some of it early that morning. The conference went from 8:30 in the morning until 2:30 in the afternoon.
Okay.
And here in our union, pastors were able to join in online and view the discussions and typing their questions if they had any. And we had some presentations that came from Dr. Bertram Melbourne. Now, Melbourne taught us in college when we were at NCU.
He did.
And he presented something on growth and retention in the early church.
Okay.
The apostolic church. And I thought he did amazingly well. And then Dr. David Trim, who is responsible for statistics and the archives at and research at the General Conference. He presented some interesting topics, I thought. The first one he presented was why they leave the church. Why do they leave?
Okay.
I heard him present that topic before at the General Conference at the Autumn Council, and I can tell you, it really opened my eyes. Very instructive as to why it is that people leave after they come.
Okay.
And he showed that if we were just to make some slight adjustments to how we do things, we could have our membership more than double in a short space of time. And so he shifted from there to the next subject of his presentation, to show how we can be a more accommodating, friendly, and all-embracing community. A more welcoming church community for new believers. And I think that if people feel that they are welcome in your church, comfortable where they are, that they have a bonding with the people and they create friendships along the way, that it will be easier for them to stay where they are. Because you got to remember, they're coming out of some very friendly communities. When we pitch our tents and when we have our meetings, we invite people to leave where they are to where we are. And some of them are leaving some very warm, friendly, loving community. They want to get into something that exceeds that. And so we have to create that environment for them to be happy and for them to stay.
How would you say that the union then will learn from the experiences that you and the team had in the training, in the preaching, in the fellowship, the baptisms, etc., from another culture?
I think that we continue to learn as we go along. It's a process. But we are meeting with all of us who went in a few days' time. And we're going to be gathering from everybody their own experiences and suggestions and ideas. In fact, some have already begun to make submissions to us as to what they observed along the way in their various areas where they served. And we're going to bring all that experience to the table. And next year we'll be going to Haiti. And we'll bring the French experience to the table. And we'll go to the other territories and bring all of the experiences. One of the things we have learned is the importance of small group evangelism. You know, when I went to Venezuela last year for a similar series of meetings, we had no meeting on the Saturday night. I spoke the Sabbath morning, and the folks took me out on the street in the afternoon.
Okay.
And on that evening, we clinched enough candidates for the first baptism.
Okay.
And we were just visiting the small groups, the groups that these brethren studied with. Some of the folks were just waiting for someone to tell them how they can be baptized and sign them up for the baptism. Wow. They were ready, they were well taught, the Bible lessons were done, all the studies were done, and the people were excited about it. So most of our work is visiting in the homes, and most of the decisions are done in the homes with the groups with whom the people study.
Okay.
And we're finding that in the Spanish culture, this works very well. We would like to adopt that to our territory and to encourage our members to engage a little bit more in small group evangelism. We're prepared to do the necessary training and equipping and provide the presence with our members in the areas where they conduct small group meetings.
Pascal, you wouldn't believe it, but we needed to take a break now. When we come back, we're going to talk about more of the LTM, Lord Transform Me. We're also going to talk about what's happening in 2019 and how we prepare for the program that will come and a number of other things. So please, we just want to thank you, and we ask our audience to not move. We're going to be right back.
Okay, good.
You know, I had an experience in college. You know, that time when it's crunch time and all the work is on your shoulders and you're trying to figure out how you can get all this done in time. You know, after thinking about it after a while, I went to a friend. And you know what he told me? He said, you know, pray. You know, ask God for help. I'm sure He's willing and ready to help you in your situation. So I took his advice. I prayed. And you know, as I prayed, I thought of a scripture text. Luke chapter 18, verse 1. And he spake a parable unto them to this end, that men always ought to pray and not to faint. You know, Jesus is saying, in other words, when we pray, don't lose heart. You know, and after that prayer, I struggled a bit, but I kept on going. I didn't lose heart. Whatever you're going through, whatever you're faced with, Jesus is willing and ready to help you with any situation. Remember, pray and don't lose heart.
Welcome back. You're watching Voices. Voices is a program of the Communication Department of the Atlantic Caribbean Union of Seventh-day Adventists. And we cover the Cayman Islands, the Turks and Caicos, and of course, the Bahamas. In studio, Pastor Peter Kerr, the Executive Secretary. Pastor Kerr, just before the break, we were talking about Mexico. Is that the right pronunciation?
Yeah, you could say Mexico.
Mexico.
Yeah.
And we talked about all of the travels, all of the evangelism that you were doing. There was an award ceremony.
You're correct.
That was a part of that. Can you share that with us, please?
Yeah, yes, I'm glad you mentioned that. There was an award ceremony where the division honors and rewards outstanding soul winners in the ministry, pastors who were the leading soul winners in their fields. In fact, it is a centurion award ceremony, and in the areas where there were no centurions, those who were the leading soul winners. But the emphasis was not just on soul winners, baptism, the emphasis was also on retention. This year, for the first time, the division is awarding pastors and evangelists who can also report the highest rate of retention for the period 2016. And so in our territory, we reported a number of leading soul winners. Leading the field was Steve Cornwall from the Turks and Caicos Islands. And then there was also Pastor Ashadane Duncan from SBC, Pastor Moncur from North, and Pastor Vaughn Henry from the Cayman Islands. These would be the persons whose names were submitted to receive awards at that site. Now, not all of them were there, of course, but the division has the award ready and waiting for them. And I think you're aware also that there are some special elders that are being awarded, receiving awards and being honored by the church.
Yes. We did get a notice on it, Pastor Kerr,
Yes.
and the union is pleased to congratulate Elder Stanley Major. And the word from the administration is that he is the longest serving church elder alive to date, having been an elder for 66 years.
And you're talking about serving in the Inter-American Division?
Yes, sir.
Wow.
Serving in the Inter-American Division, a member originally from the Johnson Park Church. He has helped to establish and work, he and his family, of course. He and his wife are partners together, and we just want to salute them on behalf of the union, wouldn't you say?
We are very happy to have submitted that name, and we are happy that that name came through as the leading person for the award. And I'm happy to know that the Inter-American Division is actually inviting him over to the media meetings which take place in the month of May.
That's right.
So April, in fact, later this month.
Later this month.
But a major would be traveling to receive his award.
That's right.
Oh, this is something we celebrate.
Yes, sir.
We are happy to know that people like these exist in our church with such passion and commitment to service. And but a major, we want to say, even before the division says thank you, we here want to say a big thank you for the commitment you brought, the sincerity and love you showed for the church, and the service you rendered over these 66 years. And we will be with you when you travel to the division for the media meetings, and that will be a special moment for all of us.
That's right. In fact, Elder Major and his dear wife have been invited to be at the division for May 1st. So they'll travel a day or two before, and they'll be there. And we're just so pleased. Like you said, it's a division family thing, and we just want to salute them. We want to pay tribute to persons like this who have gone beyond the call of duty. They've served over the years. They are not paid. Sometimes their eyes are closed in the sleep of death, and they may not be rewarded. We just recently lost Elder Vernal Rule, and we want to offer sympathies to his family as one of those productive evangelistic elders in the church as well.
Yes, I'm glad you take a little time out in this interview to talk about people like these, because wherever I go, you will hear me say that our church is what it is because of people like those, because of people like Roll and Major. The love they have for God and their church, the commitment they bring, the sacrifices that they make. Elder Clark, we do not take the contribution of our members for granted.
That's right.
It means everything to us. And when we talk about total member involvement, these are the people who can teach us what that means.
That's right.
And we miss them when we lose them.
That's right.
But we celebrate them while they are with us.
You're right. And out of an experience like this, that evangelistic fervor, and you all just coming back from Mexico and other places like that, 2019 promises to be special in Atlantic Caribbean Union.
Oh yes, it's our big money. It will be the biggest event to ever take place here in our union. The 24 unions of the division will be coming here. Just like what we did to Mexico, Mexico will be coming this time. And all the other divisions, unions of the division will be converging on Atlantic Caribbean Union. Now, there was 70 preachers who who conducted meetings in Mexico this past week. We are anticipating that Bahamas is even a more attractive field for preachers, and so there'll be even more than 70 preachers available to conduct meetings in our union. Okay. We have to therefore prepare in earnest, and our preparations have begun in earnest to receive these unions and their representatives when they come here. And so we are looking at having points of evangelism all across the Union territory, on the islands, family islands, and in the cities, and in Cayman Islands, and Cayman Brac, and Grand Turk, and North Caicos, and Salt Key, and South Caicos, and Grand Turk, and Providenciales, and Miguel Caicos, and you go ahead, you name your islands here for me. All of these islands, South Bahamas,
San Salvador,
and yes, that's right.
Cat Island and Long Island.
It's going to be quite a long list.
That's right.
But wherever there is an Adventist presence, we would like to have a preaching point, and we have to name these sites, these sites early, so that we begin to prepare for them, because it's going to be involving quite a lot of work, finding accommodations and transportation and all the rest of it. And I saw how we were taken care of when we went to Venezuela and when I went to Interoceanic. And we want to even better that in the Bahamas, because you remember, it's better in the Bahamas.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And all of this is a part of the Lord Transform Me program.
You're correct.
How is this program going in our churches? Are we hearing about it? Are the members involved in the program?
Yeah. In some places across the union, it's going better than in other places. I can tell you that the momentum is with Cayman Islands. I think they are 100% on board. The reports are coming in from there, and results are being shown. I have visited that field and participated in a number of Lord Transform Me initiatives. Okay. Here in the South, you just saw the reaping that took place after a period of training by the South Bahamas conference. And I thank God for the results that we have seen from the various quadrants of preaching and evangelism. And I visited some of the meetings, and I saw the energy behind it, and the excitement and the fun. I saw how the preachers loved the word and the people responded well. So we want to see more happening in all across our territory. Turks and Caicos is doing very well too. I can tell you that they have a number of French-speaking churches, and they're fully engaged in this, and they just also completed a series of evangelistic meetings. What we would like to see happen now is the reports begin to come in. Okay. By now we want to know on paper who the Lord Transform Me coordinator for each local church is. What is the name of that person? We need that name in our office. Okay. And we need to know who the other directors of the various components of the Lord Transform Me aspect are. That needs to be here. And we need to know how many members are involved. We need to know how the souls are being won, the results that are beginning to emerge from this emphasis. And then we want to also introduce a new instrument that we have to register or to train our members and encouraging them to take advantage of the online Bible study courses that are offered now by the Inter-American Division. Of course, we have this online program that is coming from the division and on the website of the division, and you know the site online, interamericaonline.com.
Yes, yes.
We want to see how many members will be able to register people for this Bible study program. And so this form I have with me will be handed to members of your church, the various congregations. And this instructs the members as to how they can go about registering their friends for the online Bible study program to monitor their progress as they go along, to encourage them to complete and graduate, receive their certificates, and to encourage them to make decisions for Christ in baptism.
Pastor Kerr, I've got about 3 more minutes in the program. How soon can the members get that?
We begin to run these out now. We have already sent these to the various conferences. We will ask the conferences to reproduce these and give them to the churches. If the conference can't do it itself, ask the churches to just print off the amount they need. But when I go to your church, I'll be walking with some of these.
Beautiful.
Because I want to know that if somebody sees me and says, Pastor Kerr, I heard about this thing, how can I go about it? I pull this out of my pocket and say, please follow the instructions here, and you could yourself register a friend. Or you could just pass the information out and your friend would be registered.
And we can get more information on interamericaonline.com. I want to ask you another question about another program. We heard about it some time ago, and it was the ACMS program. Is that still alive and well? ACMS
is a program that is geared at helping us to take better care of our members.
What does ACMS mean?
Adventist Church Management System.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a management of our church, management not of the building, but of the most precious resources we have, our most precious assets, our members. And there are members who are missing and nobody knows where they are. This program is to fix that problem.
I see.
And there are books that are missing and nobody knows where they are. This program is to fix that book problem. We are eliminating the books, the paperworks, and we are doing all of our church membership management systems online.
Wow.
And so now we are asking our pastors to take charge of this and ensure that all the information that we need to complete the registration process in ACMS is done. Cayman Islands is about 99% complete.
Okay.
Turks is about 92, and in the North Bahamas, they are now about 80%. South Bahamas has a little way to go.
Okay.
But they're making deliberate attempts and great efforts. I was with the pastors just this week, and everyone is committed to helping us make it happen before the end of June.
Okay.
So you can rest assured, by the end of the summer, we will be in the system. We will have an accurate record of how we are positioned within our churches with respect to membership. We ought to know where every member is located. We ought to know what is happening, and when a member is transferred to another community, another fellowship, we need to be able to follow the movements of our members. And when we lose a member, we ought to be able, you could tell me the name, I should be able to go online and see who that person is.
So how can a member be proactive in this? If they come to church next week, the week after that, they don't hear about it, because maybe a pastor has several congregations, how can the member be proactive?
A member can just simply ask the pastor about the program that they've been hearing about. This ACMS program that helps to take better care of me.
Okay.
I hate to say this, and I keep saying it often, that we take better care of our church's money than we take of our members. You don't lose a dollar without knowing where it is.
True.
To balance your book, if a dollar is missing, you're going to find it somewhere.
That's right.
Find where it is. And I cannot see how we could lose dozens of members and don't make any effort to find them. You would have to, can you imagine the auditor is coming and you cannot account for $10 or $100 in your book? We have to do better with our members. We are auditing the membership of our churches. And we will be asking the right questions. Where are they? How did we lose them? What made them go? How can we bring them back? And how can we retain those that we now have and those who will come in the future?
So people are always more important than policies.
It is, you're correct.
There you go.
It is.
Pastor Kerr, the time has gone so quickly.
Thank you.
We appreciate you being with us. We thank you for the information that you've shared.
Yeah.
It's always a blessing.
Thank you, sir.
And
Thank
we
you,
pray God bless your ministry and Sister Kerr and the children and the grandchildren.
Oh, thank you.
And
thank
those
you.
to
Yes.
come.
The grandchildren get me excited.
Okay,
Yeah.
excellent. This is Voices. We've been meeting with our Executive Secretary. He wears many hats, but he is Pastor Peter Kerr. And Voices is a program of the Communication Department of the Atlantic Caribbean Union. Thank you so much for joining us. God bless you. Until next time.